7.5.
That's good. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's perfect.
Yeah. And where are you?
I'm in Waskesiu. I've always had a place here, Tom.
Yep.
We've had this since, well, Linda's been coming up here since she was just a little baby, but
Mhm.
we bought a place in 88
Yeah.
here. We always came up here, but we bought a place in 88. So we've been here a long time. It's really nice. We got a
Yeah.
forest fire situation, which has been concerning, but it looks like we're getting that under control a bit.
Yeah, that's good. In our neck of the woods, we've been very, very fortunate. It's been a beautiful summer because we've had rain, sun, and no fires.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's nice and green
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful.
We've just had now about a week of intermittent rain. The last 2 days, it's been pretty heavy. So,
Hmm.
boy, that's a real blessing for these forest fires because, Tom, there's lots of communities up in northern Saskatchewan that have small gravel roads that connect these lakes.
Hmm.
Boy, when they get a fire, it's perilous.
Yeah.
There's no local fire departments, and so
Yeah.
you're really you need rain. And of course, I got to give the provincial and federal governments a lot of credit. They really jumped into here because of the situation last summer in Jasper.
Hmm.
We're a national park, and they don't want the same thing to happen here. So we
Right.
were unfortunate for Jasper, but fortunate for us that there was a real keen interest in not allowing this to get out of whack.
The other thing that I think poses a bit of a problem, especially on the prairies for the farmers and ranchers and whatnot, is just the political landscape and this China tariff on canola and I just don't know how people can live off the land and provide as the breadbasket.
Yeah,
In many cases, the rest of the world under those kinds of circumstances, what we all need. And
yeah,
I don't know, it's one of those summers where you're blessed in one sense and
yeah,
scratching your head in another.
yeah. We are concerned for our farmers because, the farming picture has changed a lot. They're all big farms
Yeah,
with huge investments in equipment, and
yeah,
they farm so much land. Yeah, these guys have got huge investments, and so it's difficult for them because, as you said, the tariffs look like they're going to be an issue. So,
yeah.
and then you got to count on weather, Tom, and everything else.
Well,
God,
and kids, the offspring,
yeah,
are deciding, I don't know if I want to farm. I'm going to go get
yeah,
my degree and do something else or whatever.
yeah,
So it's really unfortunate because it certainly speaks to our history.
yeah. That's right, Tom. It does.
Yeah, yeah.
So where's Wally? Wally, we've
Oh,
left you.
I've got Peter and Tom on, and there's another gentleman, Helters, who's with Hockey Minnesota that usually joins. He's not with them presently, but like yourself, Tom and Dave, he was involved in the grassroots
Yeah.
development of sport in the U.S. and really connected, done probably more writing than you or I or George, Dave, with USA Hockey.
Hmm.
It's quite an incredible guy. I do hope he's able to get on. And
Yeah.
Dave, he's a photographer too.
Oh,
Like
oh,
he
huh.
travels with groups around the
Yeah.
world
Really? Huh.
and does some pretty unique uh, photography of people, uh, just people in areas and different cities and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So he's
Awesome.
really good.
Right.
I wanted to thank Tom for joining, and I'm sure glad Dave's here because they both have, well, we have similar backgrounds in the sense that all of us, we grew up playing hockey and somehow we ended up to different capacities doing what we do. But the one thing for sure is we're all lifelong learners. Helter shared a video link that I'll pass on later, a 1 minute talk by a coach saying it all, which his advice to coaches was, "What would if you had one bit of advice for a coach? What would you tell them?" And he said, "Never stop learning." So I thought that was a pretty unique share. So
Mhm.
Tom, I wrote down sort of like three areas to begin with, and the first area, um, I know a bit about your hockey background and minor hockey, and how you sort of appreciated coaches. I knew you grew up and played. I'm not sure where it was. I think in North Dakota, but I would just like you to talk about that experience, and then you began working in Hockey Canada, and I like to say hockey in Canada.
Mhm.
And then while you were there, and correct me if I'm wrong, you worked in the NHL and then came back to Hockey Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, subsequent to being fired my first time,
Well, I think we've all been there.
Oh
which
yeah,
time Mr. King was kind enough to send me a note.
yeah.
How many notes have you sent out, Dave?
Oh God, it's yeah, it's quite a few.
It's
Yeah,
part of the
it happens to
fraternity.
all of us, and it's part of the territory, so we all accept it. So yeah, no problem, not a bit.
What was good about that, Wally, is when I came back to Holly. You're right on my journey so far, no question. And I think what was really interesting in coming back to Hockey Canada, this would have been, I was in Vancouver in 96 to 90, beginning of 98. And I came back to Hockey Canada after being fired, and they'd opened up a position called VP Hockey Operations. And I thought, this is good. I can diversify. This is what opportunity provides for you. And whether I coach in the future or not, I'm still in the game and I can learn and grow, as you alluded to earlier. And but the reason I went back is because there was a certain, and this is what I admired about the men's national team and certainly do about all of the national teams now, especially men's and women's. There was a certain purity to coaching, and being part of a national program. For me, it goes all the way back to Father Bauer, and then of course following subsequent to that, the other coaches, including yourself, Dave, and really being inspired by that. And so getting back to Hockey Canada kind of level set me for kind of the moral compass that I think you need to coach. And it just helped me kind of get back to my roots and my passion and my love for hockey for all the right reasons. And I did that for a couple of years and then went back into the NHL with Glenn Sather. And Vancouver was important to me because I saw kind of the other side of that, where I thought I knew adult players. I thought I knew the pro player. You have them, Dave, as you know, and Wally, you have them at world championships and whatnot for a short period of time, but you have them.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, it was an 82 game schedule with NHL players that had significant others and significant responsibilities in their lives besides hockey. They needed time away. They needed to be together with each other and without me around. And I needed to, give them more room to be men in the game. And so that was a heck of a learning experience, and I took that forward with me from that point on. And as much as like all of us here on our call, we've all had some success along the way, and I was lucky enough to have that before my pro experience. But the pro experience tipped the scale. It was really, really important.
Well, Dave, can you comment on your experience related to what Tom just said? Because your role when you began at Hockey Canada, I believe, Dave, was the starting of the Center of Excellence at the Saddle, and really, and I sort of happened to be tagging along at the time with George and Claire, and you were writing materials that became a core part of coaching certification. And that
Yeah,
that era, and you did it for a few years, and then
yeah.
unfortunately, when you left, well, stuff we had been doing didn't get done that we tried to do, but you went through the pro experience as well. So,
Yeah, I did. And Wally, I should mention too, my era, a little bit different than Tom. I was with Hockey Canada when we merged with CHA to form one organization. And
yeah.
so that was very interesting. And that was a very important change in the situation in Canada. So, and the Center of Excellence was something we were when I was with Hockey Canada, and the CHA was not part of us. That was going to be our contribution to the development programs run so well by the CHA, and so we worked together with the Center of Excellence and the CHA to start it and get some things on the go. We had a couple of international seminars where we brought over European coaches. We had video available, things like that. So yeah, it was a great time. And I do agree with Tom. There is a purity to the national team program. And as a young person, I got to follow the national team with Father Bauer. Um, and I really enjoyed that. I found that to be fascinating. They weren't very many games televised, but when they were, I was there to watch. So I really enjoyed the national team program. And it was always an ambition of mine to, if I could, somehow to be involved. So yeah, it was great.
Tom, when you coached the national team at Hockey Canada, what was your role with Hockey Canada? And then what did it evolve into?
Yeah, I'd from after Dave left to join the Flames, I came in 1992, and I was hired by at the time was the original Hockey Canada, and I think Ronnie was with you, Dave, at that time, Ron
Yeah,
Robison.
yeah,
I met with Ron and and had an opportunity to come in and coach the team. We just won the Memorial Cup, and I had the good fortune of doing my what I've always dreamed of doing, and that was to coach Canada's national team. And how could you not be inspired, to do that if you're if you're a coach and a Canadian and and watching Dave do his thing and get and knock on the door for gold medals, more than once. And so when I came back to Hockey Canada, I coached till 95, 96 was my last year with the national team, and then I went to Vancouver and came back as VP Hockey Operations. I was part of that transition as well, and I think I grew up basically on the CAHA's mandates, of coaching development and certification, et cetera, and a great body of work there. And then it was just enhanced that much more with being able to pay attention to to Dave's team and other coaches in the program of excellence, of which there are many and very, very successful. And you could just see this whole thing germinate into something extraordinary. And I think in many ways, we're leading. And so that was my role. I was head coach for in 93, 94. Finished in 96, 95, 96. So from 2000 and sorry, 1992 to 1996, I was head coach of the national team, and then when I came back from Vancouver, things had changed a little bit. There was a women's program, and that was fantastic and very, very important. And with that being said, I think we had Andy Murray and Mike Johnson as head coaches my first year back, and then the quality of the coaching was just exceptional. And for me to continue to be inspired to pursue that was really important. But there were some other things along the way that made my whole experience unique. And I owned a little jean shop with my wife in Trail, BC. I coached Rossland, I coached Trail, I coached Columbia Valley. I was a part of the program of excellence with under 17, under 18, under 20. I just, and anytime anybody asks me about my journey, I just say, just be really, really good where you are, and don't pass up opportunities to learn and improve yourself and, have a good ear and listen to other people, but just be great where you are and things kind of fall into place. And, I was lucky enough to have that happen to me.
Tom, I do know this about you. You sort of had goals always in the back of your mind. In fact, I believe you had something written that provided you as a reminder.
Yeah,
Uh, can you allude to that? Because I know I'm not one of those guys who wrote down, I want to coach in the NHL, or
right.
I just sort of felt like the poor immigrant boy who was just going to take what he could and
Yeah.
enjoy life. So, can you talk about, your goal setting and your aspirations and what you did to get to where you got?
Well, again, I had great coaches growing up. I can name all my minor hockey coaches, the names of our